My wife slept with her boss, then asked for an open marriage. I said yes, until I fell for someone else. Now she wants to fix it. I just laughed and moved out. Hey there. We're working hard to hit our first 1,000 subscribers. If you love true, emotional stories, hit that subscribe button. It helps more than you know. Now let's get into the story. I never thought I'd be the guy writing into the internet for advice. But here I am. My wife and I have been together for 10 years, married for 8. We met in college and were each other's first everything. I genuinely believed we had something rare, something pure. Turns out, I was the only one who thought that. A while back, she started working at a new company. At first, she struggled to fit in. She's always been kind of shy, and I actually had to encourage her to make friends. Eventually, she got close with a group of single girls at work. At first, I was happy. I thought, great, she has a social circle now. But the late nights started piling up. Girls' nights, happy hours, weekend parties. She'd come home smelling like booze, complaining about being tired. Our bedroom life, which was never great to begin with, went cold. Then came the new manager. She started talking about him a lot. At first, casually, just in passing. But it became more frequent. She'd tell me how great he was at problem solving, even outside of work stuff. I finally asked, what's with all the admiration for this guy? She brushed it off. Then, one day, she hit me with something that blindsided me. Do you ever regret not having experience with other women? I told her, honestly, no. I had everything I ever wanted in her. I swear, I saw this flicker of sadness in her eyes. But she changed the subject right away. Then came the real gut punch. She asked if I'd be open to opening the marriage. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. That wasn't her. Not the woman I married. I asked if this was about the manager. She denied it. She claimed she was just scared of missing out on life experiences, but still didn't want to lose me. She framed it like a safe way to explore. A no-risk strategy to keep our marriage fresh. I should have said no, but I didn't. I was hesitant, naive, and honestly, I didn't want to be the controlling husband. I thought maybe it was worth a try. We laid down ground rules. The biggest one, don't bring anyone to our home. Ever. For the next year, my wife went on dates and hooked up with other guys, including, of course, that manager. Surprise, surprise. As for me, I tried. I went on a few dates, but I just couldn't bring myself to do one-night stands. It felt wrong. Empty. She'd ask if I was doing okay, but her actions never changed. She just kept on going, acting like this was perfectly normal. And then something in me just shut off. That pure, innocent love I had for her, it evaporated. Slowly. Then all at once. That's when I met someone else. She had just moved from South Korea. We met by total chance. She was funny, smart, kind. Talking to her was easy. Being around her felt light. One date turned into 2, then into something more. And when we finally slept together, it was unlike anything I'd ever experienced. She made me feel wanted, respected, masculine. My wife thought it was cute at first, until she realized it wasn't just a fling. She started getting jealous, asking questions, acting cold. I reminded her, this was your idea. You're literally in a relationship with that manager. She had no answer. But suddenly, she started coming home early, cooking dinner, cleaning, showing up at my job with lunch, getting flirty in bed again. If she had done that a year earlier, I would have been over the moon. But now, it just felt hollow, forced. Something inside me had died, and she knew it. When I finally asked her, what changed? She said she wanted to show me how much she loved me, that she was happy with our marriage again. I laughed. I asked her, what about all those flings? What about your new boyfriend? The one I was worried about from the beginning. She didn't answer. She just went to bed in tears. And the next day, she said she wanted to close the marriage, that it had all been a huge mistake. The next day, she waited for me when I got home. Her eyes were red, voice shaking. She told me the open marriage idea was a terrible mistake, that she regretted everything, and that she wanted to go back to the way things used to be. Just the two of us. Monogamous. I asked her to be honest with me, for once. What pushed you into this in the first place? She hesitated, then finally admitted the truth. It was her friends. The same work girlfriends she started hanging out with. The divorced ones. The ones who bragged about hookups and freedom. They had convinced her she was missing out. That she needed to find herself before it was too late. Then the manager came along. And unlike me, he encouraged that lifestyle. According to her, it started emotionally. The physical stuff only came after we opened the marriage. As if that made it better. She compared the whole thing to being drunk behind the wheel. Fast, dangerous, and thrilling. But now, she said, she finally saw the wreckage. She told me what we had was rare. That she'd ruined it. I didn't say much. I just held her while she cried herself to sleep on my chest. And after that, she went nuclear with guilt. She quit her job, cut off all her friends, blocked the manager, Started saying things like she'd spend the rest of her life making it up to me if I'd just give her a chance. But I still hadn't broken things off with the woman I met. And to be honest, I didn't want to. She made me feel like a man again, like I could move mountains. My wife hadn't made me feel that way in years. I felt torn. I didn't hate my wife. I just didn't trust her anymore. We agreed to go to couples counseling, just to see if there was anything worth saving. The therapist was good, neutral, experienced. She let my wife talk, and wow, did she talk. She admitted it all, that she'd been scared of settling, that she'd never been with anyone else. That part of her resented me for being the only man she ever knew. The therapist said that kind of thinking wasn't uncommon, but that it often destroys relationships. Then my wife explained how the manager was just there. Convenient. The girls at work encouraged her to just try it and see what happens. One of them, a divorcee, was the one who actually planted the idea of the open marriage. According to my wife, she didn't even want to sleep with him at first. She said she felt guilty, but her friends told her it would help the marriage, that it would spice things up. So she convinced herself it was okay, and dragged me into it. She said she saw the pain in my face, but pretended it wasn't real. Told herself it was just a phase. Now, she says she'll never forgive herself, that she didn't understand what she was doing until she saw me happy again, with someone else. She said my eyes lit up when I got texts from my girlfriend, that I smiled for no reason, that I looked free, and that's when it hit her. She had handed me the scissors, and I cut the rope tying me to her. By the second therapy session, I had a list of questions, ones I'd been too afraid to ask. I needed the truth, not sugarcoated, not filtered through tears or guilt. So I asked her point blank, "Are you sure nothing physical happened before we agreed to open the marriage?" She froze. Her eyes dropped to the floor. She begged me not to make her say it out loud, said if she said the words, everything between us would shatter. I told her it already had, and then she admitted it. They hadn't had full-on sex, but they had been intimate, with each other, undressed, touching, just not technically crossing the line. She said he convinced her it didn't count, that they were just appreciating each other's beauty. Like that makes it better. Even the therapist looked stunned. I mean visibly disturbed. My wife started shaking, ugly crying, snot dripping from her nose. She dropped to her knees, grabbed my legs, and begged me to forgive her. And that wasn't even the worst part. I asked her what changed, why she suddenly turned on this man she was willing to risk our marriage for. She said it happened by accident. She was walking past his office after a meeting and overheard him talking to another male coworker. He was laughing, bragging, said he was surprised how easy it was to seduce her, that she was proof you can never trust the quiet ones. When the guy asked if he actually liked her, the manager said, "Nah, she's just fun. I'd never leave my fiancé for her." And then, get this, he added, "I feel kinda bad for her husband. But hey, strike while the iron's hot, right?" She said she left the building and vomited in the parking lot. That was her wake-up call. She realized she wasn't special to him. She was just a side quest. And I was the fool she'd betrayed for a cheap thrill. I asked her one more thing. "Did you love him?" She swore she didn't. Said she thought maybe it was love, but now sees how stupid that was. Then she grabbed my hand and told me she missed us, that she wanted to run away somewhere, just the two of us, start fresh, like when we first got married. I told her I couldn't do that, that it wouldn't be fair to the woman I was seeing now, the woman who'd saved me from rock bottom. She broke down again, uncontrollably, talking nonsense, holding me like I was about to vanish. Even the therapist stepped in and said some space might help. So that night, I moved into my brother's spare apartment. I thought that would be the hardest part of the week. But then I overheard something that made this whole thing blow up again. I was packing my things, getting ready to leave the house, when her laptop pinged. A video call. I wasn't going to answer, obviously, but the screen lit up with the name of one of her old work friends, the same women who'd pushed her into the open marriage life, the one she had cut off. I froze. She answered the call. The girl on the other end was sobbing, makeup smeared, voice shaking, and then she said it. She had hooked up with the manager. Yeah, that manager. After my wife quit her job and cut him off, this friend started sleeping with him herself. She thought it was casual, until she missed her period. When she told him, he lost it, accused her of trying to trap him, said she was trying to baby trick him into leaving his fiancée. And here's the twist. This girl had a boyfriend. A serious one. Someone she'd been planning a future with. That boyfriend found the texts. The ones about the pregnancy. The manager's accusations. The betrayal. He dumped her on the spot. So now she was spiraling. Alone. Possibly pregnant. And the guy she risked everything for? Running scared. She called my wife for advice. Because, quote, "You managed to keep your marriage after all this." I didn't say a word. I turned around and walked out. Later that night, I settled into the apartment my brother offered me. Cheap rent. Quiet space. He even offered to let me stay for free, but I said no. I needed to keep some dignity. The next therapy session? Yeah, that was when things really fell apart. I came in with more questions. Thanks to your comments and advice. And this time, I didn't hold back. The friend? The one who called my wife sobbing? She wasn't bluffing. Turns out her pregnancy scare was not a scare. She had actually been pregnant. But the stress, the breakup, the public humiliation, it all hit her hard. And she had a miscarriage. And then she snapped. She decided if her life was wrecked, she wasn't going down alone. She went straight to HR, with everything. Text messages, photos, screenshots of the manager bragging about his side entertainment, statements about how he used his position to manipulate multiple female employees. And that wasn't all. She reached out to me. She said she wanted my version of the story too. She was building a full complaint, and she wanted every piece of dirt she could get. We met in a coffee shop, and the second I saw her face, I knew she was broken. Dark circles under her eyes, hands shaking. She didn't even try to look okay. She apologized for encouraging my wife to go down that path. Said she knew it wasn't her fault alone, but she couldn't live with herself if she didn't own up. She told me the guy was engaged the whole time, to a sweet, small-town teacher who works with special needs kids. Total opposite of the women he was chasing. Her words, not mine. Why do guys like that always end up with women like her? And I had to agree. It's one of life's cruel jokes. I gave her my side of the story. Everything. How it started. How it collapsed. How my wife begged to fix it too late. She thanked me. Said she was taking it all the way up. Not just HR, corporate. And apparently, it worked. Last I heard, the manager was suspended, possibly facing blacklisting across the industry. His fiancée found out too. She left him. But the fallout didn't stop there. One day I dropped by the old house to grab some leftover things. I timed it so she wouldn't be home. But she was. And the minute I walked in, I knew something was off. She'd laid out photo albums on the coffee table. Wedding pictures. Old vacation shots. Notes we'd written to each other. Like she was staging some kind of emotional ambush. She tried to hug me. I stepped back. She offered to cook lunch. I said I wasn't hungry. Then she pulled out her phone and showed me a text. From him. The manager. He had messaged her from a new number, since she'd blocked the old one. He was furious. Said she and her friend had ruined his career. Turns out, my wife had helped that same friend gather evidence against him. She'd even testified. She looked at me with this weird hope in her eyes. Like helping burn the guy down would somehow fix us. I told her I was proud of her courage. But it didn't change anything. I said I was done with couples therapy. I was switching to solo sessions. Because the numbness I felt, I didn't want to carry it into any future relationship. She cried. Quietly. Like she already knew. And then, she lost it. I was almost at the door when she grabbed my arm. Tears streaming down her face, voice trembling with rage. What does she give you that I don't? She was shouting now. Loud enough for the neighbors to hear. What does that woman do that I didn't? Why is she better? Tell me. I didn't raise my voice. I didn't explode. I just looked at her. And I shook my head. If you still don't understand, I said. After everything, then I have nothing left to say. Her face collapsed. Like she finally got it. That the begging, the crying, the revenge, it was all too little, too late. I walked out. Later that week, I officially canceled all further marriage counseling sessions. My therapist agreed. Solo therapy was the better path for now. I had to find peace, without dragging anyone else through the wreckage. My brother pushed me to talk to a divorce attorney, just in case. So I did. We didn't file anything yet. But I'm ready, emotionally, financially, and legally, for whatever comes next. As for my girlfriend, she's still in my life. And no, she never pressured me to leave my wife. Never gave me ultimatums. Never demanded anything. She just gave me space, warmth, support. She made me feel like a man again, not because she fed my ego, but because she saw me, heard me, believed in me. When I had bad days, she helped me. When I had doubts, she listened. When I questioned my worth, she reminded me how much I had survived. She didn't have to compete for my loyalty. She earned it without trying. And my wife? She stays in touch. Sends long texts sometimes. Offers to meet. Apologizes again. Says she's still willing to fight for me, no matter how long it takes. But every time I see her name pop up on my screen, all I feel is silence. Not hate. Not anger. Not even sadness anymore. Just nothing. And honestly, that's how I know it's over. And that's the story. If you're still here, that means you're one of us. So go ahead, hit that subscribe button. I drop new chaos every single day, and trust me, tomorrow's story, it's even worse than this one.